Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing my March TBR, so all the books that I am planning to read in March. I'm going to start with a little confession because I haven't finished my February TBR yet. I am filming this video a few days early, and of my February TBR, the books that I had on that list, I haven't finished 2 of them, but I have started one of them, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to finish it before Sunday. But the other book, I don't think I'm actually even going to be able to start it before the end of the month, so that's not great. Annoyingly, it was actually the book that I was most excited for this month, so I don't know why I didn't get around to reading it. I think I got distracted by other books, but it does mean that this month or next month I'm going to add a penalty book to my TBR. So usually in these videos I pick 5 books to add to my TBR, whereas today I'm going to be picking 6. If you haven't watched any of my TBR games before, then the rules are pretty simple. I have a board that's kind of loosely based on Cluedo, but also really not. And I roll a dice to get a genre, and then I pick a card from the middle of the board, and that gives me a prompt to go with that genre. I'll leave the playlist link down below if you wanted to find out more. But also this month I'm planning to take part in Becca's Bookoplathon, which is a 48-hour readathon that's happening on the 20th of March, I think it is. It's hosted by Becca from Becca and the Books and is based on her TBR game Bookopoly. So if you haven't heard of it, I'll leave a link to the announcement video down below. Most of the prompts for that readathon won't be announced until the actual readathon, but the first 2 prompts were announced in that announcement video, and they were to read a book with a dark cover and or to read a fantasy book. So I'm going to try and fit in a fantasy book with a dark cover so I can tick off both of those prompts. So I think that's everything that I needed to talk about in this intro. So yeah, let's go with roll number 1. Okay, so here we go with roll number 1, which is a 3, which is thriller, and the prompt is favourite author. So as you will have seen, for roll number 1 I need to pick a thriller by one of my favourite authors, and ironically the book that I didn't get round to reading from my February TBR was a thriller by one of my favourite authors, and that is The Whole Truth by Cara Hunter. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the 5th book in the D.I. Adam Fawley series, which is a British crime thriller series that's set in Oxford, and you're basically following a team of detectives as they investigate different crimes. I actually have an advanced copy of this book through NetGalley, and I've been meaning to read it for a while, but the publication date keeps getting pushed back, and I obviously want to read the book as close as I can to the publication date. I think originally it was meant to come out in January or February, and then it was pushed back to March, and now I think it's been pushed back again to April. But I am really excited for this book because I've read the other books in this series and loved them. They're really twisty and surprising, so yeah, really looking forward to this one. Okay, roll number 2 is a 1, which is romance, and the prompt is recommended. So for roll number 2 I need to read a romance that was recommended, and for this I'm going to go for From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a fantasy romance about a girl called Poppy who is something called a maiden, which means that she's not allowed to experience any kind of pleasure and she's not allowed to be touched until her ascension. However, she's assigned a new guard called Hawk, and I'm guessing some kind of romance happens, seeing as how this is a romance book. I have seen so many people recommending this book, and in particular I've seen a lot of people recommending this book for people who like Sarah J Maas's books, which I do. The only thing is I don't actually own a copy yet, and it's quite expensive on Kindle. Like, it's about £6, which is more than I would usually spend on a Kindle book. But I have heard that the way that this book ends, I'm probably going to want to read the sequel straight away, and so I don't know whether to just go for it and buy both physical copies of the 1st and 2nd book. I could also use this book for Becca's Bookoplathon because it's a fantasy with a dark cover. However, I might wait and see how I feel nearer the time, because I also today bought Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco, which is also a fantasy with a dark cover, and so I might just see how I feel nearer the time. Roll number 3 is a 6, which is fantasy, and the prompt is beautiful cover. So for roll number 3 I need to read a fantasy with a beautiful cover, and for this I've decided to go for King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. So this is, I want to say, book 6 in the Grishaverse, which is a young adult fantasy series, and I obviously can't tell you much about this book because it's the 6th in a series, but we're basically following some side characters from the earlier books. I really want to read this before Rule of Wolves comes out at the end of March. I think it comes out on the 30th of March. I have heard mixed mixed reviews about this book, especially in comparison to the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology, but I am still really excited to read this because I do love this world and I really like these characters, and Leigh Bardugo is one of my favourite authors, and so I'm really excited to get stuck back into this. I was actually thinking I might do a reading vlog for King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, so let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in, and also if you'd rather it be spoilery or spoiler free. Okay, so next roll is a 1, which is romance again, and the prompt is favourite author. So for roll number 4, I need to read a romance by one of my favourite authors, and this is actually perfect because Act Your Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert comes out at the start of March, I think it is, and I would say that Talia Hibbert is one of my new favourite romance authors. I read Get a Life Chloe Brown and also Take a Hint Danny Brown last year and really loved them, so I've been really excited for this next book. Although these books are part of the series, because they each follow a different sister and a different romance, you can read them as standalone novels if you want to. What I know about this book is that it follows Eve Brown, who is the youngest of the sisters, and her life is a little bit chaotic. I think that her parents have turned around to her at the start of the book and said, look, you need to sort yourself out, and so she ends up getting a job working at a B&B where the owner is the complete opposite of her. So whereas her life is out of control, he is very much in control. I think she accidentally runs him over with her car or something like that, and then I'm assuming that there's some kind of romance. They end up falling for each other because that tends to be what happens in romance books. But like I said, I really enjoyed the first 2 books in this series. I've actually heard that this book is the best in the series, so you can imagine how excited I am. Okay, so here we go with the next roll, which is a 5, which is young adult, and the prompt is beautiful cover. So for roll number 5, I need to pick a young adult book with a beautiful cover, and for this I've decided to go for Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. From what I understand, this is a YA mystery thriller that follows a girl called Enchanted, who is or was an aspiring singer, and she was discovered by this legendary R&B artist called Corey Fields. And then at the start of the book, this guy Corey is found dead, and Enchanted literally has blood on her hands, but she has no memory of what happened the night before. And so I think you follow 2 timelines in the past and in the present as you learn what happened. I've heard the audiobook for this is really good, and it's also available on Scribd, which I have a subscription for. So I think once I finish my current audiobook, I'm going to move on to this next. I have heard that this book has trigger warnings for gaslighting and abuse. I don't know if there are any other trigger warnings because I haven't read it yet, but I did just want to mention that in case anyone else is also thinking of reading this. Okay, so here we go with the final roll, which is a 6, which is fantasy again, and the prompt is Instagram poll. My final roll came up as Instagram poll and the genre was fantasy, and so I created an Instagram poll, obviously, with 4 fantasy books that have been on my TBR for a while, and I asked people to vote for which one they would like to see me read. And the winner was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which actually I should probably hold that up because I have it here. I've never actually read a V.E. Schwab book before, but I know that a lot of people love her books and I have been wanting to get into them for a while, so really glad that people actually voted for this. So in this book you have these different parallel worlds, these different parallel Londons, and you follow a main character who I think is called Kel. Yes, you follow a main character called Kel who can travel between these different Londons. That's all I really know, and I think that's all I really want to know, but I have heard that V. Schwab is really good at world building, which is something that I look for in fantasy books, so I'm really hoping that I enjoy this. So those are the books that I'm planning to read this month, and because this is Cluedo TBR and in Cluedo you make predictions about stuff, I am going to try and predict which of these books I'm going to rate the highest this month. I think I'm going to go for one of the romance books, so either From Blood and Ash or what's the book called? Act Your Age Eve Brown. Although last month I predicted that The Whole Truth would be my favourite book of the month and I didn't even get round to reading it, so hopefully I actually get round to reading all of the books this month. It's really hard because I feel like I've been looking forward to a lot of these books for a really long time, and so obviously I hope that I enjoy all of them, but we'll see how it goes. But that does bring me to the end of the video, so thanks for watching if you've made it this far. If you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this TBR, then please let me know in the comments what you thought of them, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye. I did also just want to say I'm really sorry if the lighting in this video has got progressively more worse as it's gone on. I started filming this about 45 minutes ago after I finished work, and it was still light outside then, which it's not now. And so I feel like I'm just kind of chilling in the dark, and I don't know how this is going to look once I import the footage, but hopefully it's all okay, and hopefully you did still enjoy this video.